So I just finished watching one of the best and most exciting seasons of television that I've seen in a very, very long time. The show is riddled with mystery and adventure and emotion and so much more. It's one of those shows that I tell literally everyone that they need to watch, and I generally only do that with 1 or maybe 2 shows every year. What about you? What shows have you told people that they need to watch over the past year or so? Let us know down in the comments. For me, this time around, it is easily Showtime's Yellowjackets. The series was created by Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson, and we follow our characters across 2 main timelines. The first is set in 1996 when a plane carrying the Yellowjackets, a New Jersey high school soccer team, crashes in the Canadian wilderness. After the crash, we observe the survivors descending from typical high school hierarchy to a disturbing, supernatural type of savagery. The second timeline takes place in present-day 2021 when 4 survivors, who obviously at some point make it out of the wilderness, have reached middle age and fear that the truth about their time in the wild is going to come out. I'm going to start things off talking about the casting, which in itself should win awards. Each character in this show has been so perfectly cast, especially considering the fact that you have to cast people for the same character in these 2 different time frames, and they did an incredible job of matching a younger actor with an older actor, and they complement and portray these characters so perfectly. I was about to list my personal favorite standout performances, but it's literally just every actor. The present day cast made up of Melanie Lynskey, Tana Cypress, Christina Ricci, and Juliette Lewis are incredible in their roles, but I may be more impressed by the cast of the 1996 storyline made up of Ella Purnell, Sophie Nélisse, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Sophie Thatcher, and Samantha Hanratty. The characters that each of these actors portray are complex in their own ways, but their complexities complement each other so well. And I really love that we don't just have 1 or 2 main characters that we're interested in and that we follow throughout the season, and that it's instead a very large group of people that we still get to know on a pretty deep level throughout the season. My personal favorite character is Misty in both the 1996 and 2021 storyline. Every single time this character is on screen, I'm pulled in and entranced, and I just cannot wait to see what unpredictable thing she's going to do next. Out in the wilderness, we are watching the events that mold her into the sociopath that we see in 2021. She's clearly a less popular kid amongst her peers, and we see multiple scenes before and after the crash where she's subjected to bullying. The lingering close-up shots of Misty after she's mistreated really hammer home how these events are impacting her. In present day, we aren't really seeing Misty develop as a character, rather we are seeing different layers of her twisted, manipulative, and calculated personality through each episode. She's also a bit of a wild card as we don't really know her full intentions, so I'm really anticipating many twists and turns out of this character. I have thoroughly enjoyed the mystery behind her as well as the development we've seen up to this point, and I cannot wait to see more of Misty in Season 2. Subscribe! Sorry, I'm just looking for another way to ask you to subscribe if you're liking this video, and, well, that was it. Some honorable mention characters that I'm really enjoying are Shauna and Thaisa, both in the present day storyline, as both of them have some incredibly wild things going on, and it's been really fun to watch. Shauna is hilarious to me because she is a no BS woman who just deals with anything in her way. On the outside, she appears to be a stay-at-home mom with no real life outside of that, and it seems that she wants it to stay that way. But really, she is very strategic with her decisions and will not put up with any nonsense. Shauna is caught up in a very tricky situation at the end of Season 1, and it feels like it's going to unravel. I'm expecting a lot of thrills as we watch Shauna navigate her challenges in Season 2. Ty is a powerhouse, independent character driven by a desire to be respected and seen as a strong leader. She has a set of beliefs and doesn't bend to anything or anyone. There's a scene at one point in the show that perfectly supports this point where she attends a benefit dinner with the goal of speaking to one powerful woman in hopes of gaining support for her campaign. She finally has the opportunity to meet with her, and the woman wants Ty to share secrets of her past as a form of payment for her support. Even though having this woman on her side would be monumental for Ty, she doesn't falter and instead tells her off. Ty's present-day storyline is a wild one and is another that I cannot wait to pick back up on in Season 2. Moving on to the story, they hooked me in the very beginning, and I have not lost interest once throughout this first season. There are many side plots unfolding that contribute to the overall fascinating story going on in Yellowjackets, each with its own complexity, character conflicts, and mystery. I haven't been this enthralled in a show in a very long time, and I give all the credit to the writers for creating this new spin on a Lord of the Flies type story. The approach they take in the show is to take you back and forth between 1996 and 2021 multiple times in each episode. There are even some flashbacks to before 1996, but those don't happen as often. And this style of storytelling may not be for everyone, and sometimes I'm not a fan of it myself, but in my opinion, it works really well here. They are generally cutting from one timeline to the next in a fluid manner where the scene in one timeline supports the very next scene in the other. Also, I do feel it's important to say that this show can be very dark and edgy at times, and it probably isn't for everyone. I personally know someone who was watching this show and enjoying it, but it got to be a little bit too much for them and they had to stop watching it. So if the idea of seeing images of humans devolving into cannibalistic animal-like beings disturbs you, probably want to proceed with caution. Okay, moving into the more artistic decisions and directions, as I reflect back on this show, there's nothing really standing out to me in terms of cinematography or soundtrack. Neither of them are bad, I just can't remember specifically being impressed or surprised by any certain camera angles or anything like that. That said, it has been fun to hear a lot of the 90s music that we hear in this show because I grew up in that time frame, so that's been fun. One of my favorite things they've done with this show is the set design, especially out in the wilderness where they do a great job of elevating the suspense and mystery going on out there. In the present day set choices, I feel the showrunners perfectly matched each character with their home. We have Shauna in your typical family suburb setting, Ty in a fancy downtown city home, Misty in her unsuspecting single-person dwelling, and Nat in what appears to be some type of motel or cheap apartment. Each place is a perfect reflection of the character living there, and I just really appreciated that attention to detail. Alright, I know the Showtime user base is significantly lower than Netflix and HBO, but I strongly encourage you, if you're not a Showtime subscriber, sign up for a free trial and give this show a shot. If you have seen Yellowjackets Season 1, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and that's going to do it for me. We'll see you all in the next video.